And it's starting at an hour again. All right, hang on. Let's link. Where is the link? So professional. Oh, right, here we go.
Well,
right, let me just get this some bitch out here. Copy. Oh, let's mute that. Crap. I can't adult today. Hang on. It's ridiculous.
Can't adult those days. You do.
Oh yeah, no, especially today. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, it's like, if I have to stand in that bloody queue for Asda one more time, I swear to God, I'm going to tip some shit over.
Have you been queuing a lot then?
Oh, this is it. It's kind of like, I'm so used to being able to just walk straight through the bloody door.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's just across the road, but it's queuing for the best part of 40 minutes today. And it's just like, oh, come on. All I need to do is get sugar and vegetable oil. So, yeah.
It has been pretty nuts when it comes to this. It hasn't let up since the last time we spoke, has it?
No. I can't wait for this whole social distancing thing to be over. It's
I mean, I know it's like safety first and all that, but still. Hello, angry pacifist. How are you? Yeah, who's joined us again? Thank you very much.
Hello.
Yeah, we should probably hang on. Let me just check something real quick. Just send the link. I'm just doing like admin stuff, and then I'll put the camera back on.
Sean, we want to see your pretty face. That's why we're here.
But that is my true face, Jack. I am Sutekh, the Great Destroyer.
Well, I had a feeling.
Yeah, my actual face is the mask. Yeah.
Yes, you're really Sutekh. You're sitting in a pyramid and on Mars being projected. Actually, no, not being projected from Mars. He's in Egypt, isn't he?
Yeah.
I literally just watched it, and it's like still don't remember shit.
Yeah, under a pyramid. If that's kind of like my life and everyone's life right now, really, stuck in an infernal prison with no way out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Goddamn C virus.
Oh, I know. What would Sutekh do in this situation?
Oh, he'd sit and stare at his computer that has only 4 little things that tell him 4 numbers and still somehow manage to work out everything.
Well, yeah, because he has limitless power. Okay, I'm nearly doing it. Oh, okay, now we want to turn that down.
Yeah.
Hey Daniel, how's it going, mate? Thank you for joining us. As usual, sir. So we'll be with you in just a sec.
Trying to get the chat up, but I can't see it this time for some reason. That's fine.
Can you still not see it? Click on comments on the top right hand side.
Yeah, I've got live comments, and nothing's coming up.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to be in charge of comments then, I suppose. It might come up again in a minute for you.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Brace yourselves, folks. Brace yourselves.
Hey!
Yeah, so put the avatar back on, for God's sake. Anyway, right. So let's start this properly. Hello, Nerdaholics.
Right.
Hello, and welcome to our little chat about Pyramids of Mars.
Yes. Oh.
We're probably just gonna.
Ready to go?
Yeah. We're probably just gonna not do like a specific. Well, we'll tell you what we think of it, but it's good. That's all you really need to know in that sense. But we'll just basically,
good.
yeah, we'll probably just to chat about bits that we like and stuff, rather than actually just give you like a word for word description of what happens in the episode, because I'm sure many of you have seen it many times before.
we would hope so, but if not, well,
it was the sort of the part, sort of the point of it, wouldn't it? Give this one a bit of direction, unlike last time.
Yeah. Well, last time we were kind of experimenting a bit, but you know what? Okay, we'll tell you what. Let's in brief cover it. Sean, this is your pick, so why don't you just kind of do a very brief recap of roughly what happens? You don't have to go through the whole thing, but just so everyone's on the same page, and we can chat about it from there.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So basically, this story is about pyramids on Mars. No, I'm joking. It's not that easy, folks. Not that easy, folks. Yeah. So the TARDIS crew, aka the Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith, yeah, exactly, legends, materialize in 1911 in what was or what turns out to be Unit HQ, but it was like years before Unit HQ actually became Unit HQ. Although it doesn't actually start that, it starts that way with Marcus Scarman on an expedition, who is an archaeologist on an expedition in Egypt, and then he gets basically lured into Sutekh's trap, of which he first thought was sarcophagus, but it turns out to be a time tunnel, which we later discover leads to the great Osirian and the last of the Osirians, known as Sutekh. And he's basically an all-powerful god, and it's a lot to do with the foundation of Egyptian mythology and how that works its way into the universe and all that lovely stuff, which is cool, because I've always quite liked the whole Egyptian mythology thing, and so the way that they worked it into the Doctor Who universe, of it being like the gods were actually all-powerful aliens, and technically gods in their own right, but Sutekh was not a very nice guy for his part. He was a rogue siren who basically wanted to destroy all life in the universe, essentially, apart from him. And so it took he was imprisoned by Horus, Eye of Horus, for all you Egyptologists out there. And this is the story of how he tried to escape, essentially.
Okay. That's essentially it, yeah.
Okay, yes, so, Harry. Hello, Harry.
Harry,
do you want to jump?
Hi, Harry.
Harry, do you want to jump into the stream? I can send you a link, or would you rather just chat? Oh, anyway, while he thinks about that, we'll carry on talking. Anyway, Jack, you were just basically reading the synopsis. You haven't actually watched this episode, have you?
F you in the air, you cheeky bastard. No, I've watched it, and it's kind of. Joking, I've got my laptop up working this time, so that way I can fact check everything Sean says, just to make sure he watched it, because he sent me a picture through WhatsApp like yesterday night, about 11:30, with like just it going. It's like, yes. Yeah. It's like, how much are you going to remember? Well, okay, I really enjoyed it, obviously, because it's classic Doctor Who.
Good. Well,
first thing I want to say,
to give you a quick context, we actually put this up against the Deadly Assassin in the poll on Twitter, and the Deadly Assassin was actually leading the poll for most of the 23 hours, and then at the last minute, Pyramids of Mars won out. But we'll probably do Deadly Assassin next time.
Well, no, we'll put Deadly Assassin up against something else and see which wins there. Whichever one doesn't win, we'll roll over into the next one, into the next poll. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, Jack, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so right. So in terms of sort of, okay, obviously this is stuff I like. All of this is stuff I like. And one thing I want to say, and this is something I always say to you every time I watch anything with Tom Baker in it, is how bloody tall is he?
He's a big
guy. He's a big guy.
Like 6'7", no, 6'5", maybe. I don't know. Harry's actually met him, so he can test for that. Although he's obviously a lot older than he was in this, so he's probably shrunk a little bit. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you've got the mummy monsters roaming around. That's obviously people in big costumes and everything, and he's taller than them. And it's kind of, they've got like all the extra padding and things to make themselves taller and all that, and he's still taller than them.
They're quite top heavy as well, aren't they? Did you notice that? Yeah. It's like they've got man boobs.
They got man boobs. Yeah, that poor groundskeeper who got squished between them. That's like,
I've always thought that was kind of Nasty, yeah. What a way to go, eh? Like the way they just sort of corner him, and it's like, oh, you run into this. It's like running into a brick wall. So, oh, yeah, crafty.
Squash between pointy men boobs. Yeah, not the way most people want to go out.
Yeah.
Okay, and as you said, I like the Egyptology side of things. I like it when I always like Doctor Who best when they can take some sort of aspect of real life and I'll say real life, something that's kind of something we know from the real world. So in this case, wedge shape, perfect for choking.
Perfect for choking.
It's also it's good when you could do something in real life that we can relate things to, and then turn it into something else a bit. So Egyptian mythology, yeah, awesome. If admittedly, I've only got one real problem with the episode. I think I've got a couple of smaller ones, but they're just nitpicks. So it's kind of like I'll quite happily ignore them.
Yeah, you can get that in any episode.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. My only real problem with this is it's kind of like episode 2, just episode 2. Not really anything happens. It's kind of like it's kind of a lot of it is the groundskeeper bloke getting chased around, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that's not a bad thing. It's just kind of like you could have cut that down a bit and put more time into them in the pyramid on Mars at the end. You know, it's just kind of
but they were building suspense. They were building suspense because obviously we still hadn't seen Sutekh yet, and I think I can give it a pass for that.
Oh yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of like this. If this is the only problem you've got, it's really not a problem at all. It's kind of like it's it's just kind of a personal preference side of things rather than anything that's actually specific or like
Hello, Geek Union. Sorry, I just want to acknowledge the people who come in as they come in. Hello, Geek Union. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. And Harry goes, it shows how unstoppable the mummy robots are. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's essentially what it is.
Yeah. Well, you say the mummy robots are unstoppable, but the bear trap caught them.
Yeah, but then he broke it. Yeah, but he broke it though. You see him break the bear trap and walk off. So it's like that point is mute already. You're just annoyed because your favourite didn't win. That's why.
I'm not annoyed. It's fine.
I'm only joking.
I know. But yeah, no, it's like a lot of the stuff. It's kind of like the stuff that I really got. Sutekh is a great villain, mainly because he has one conversation with the Doctor face to face, and that's it.
That's all he needs.
That's all he needs.
Just to show you just how puny that even someone like a Time Lord is. Like when Sarah Jane goes to the Doctor, it's like, what? Even your lot can't stop them? Yes, even our lot. So it's like, this is what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with just like an unspeakable amount of power if this dude gets released. So that's kind of like what makes him so scary is that he doesn't need to be around there that often, but he's controlling everything just with his mind.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, that actually does lead to one thing. It's kind of like the only reason Sutekh loses is because he got really a little bit lazy. And you think about it, he had control. Well, he was controlling the Doctor. If he hadn't released this control of him, it's kind of like, there you go, he would have won.
Well, he didn't factor in, as the Doctor says, the time factor. He didn't sort of bank on him being outsmarted in that way, as much power as he has.
Yeah, that's one question I'll ask for you, because I know you've watched this episode a lot more than I have. Does Sutekh actually die at the end? Because they kind of say he does.
Well, he says he lives for 7,000 years.
He says he lives for 7,000 years, but the Sarah Jane's like, so he's dead then? And the Doctor's like, yes.
Well, he's dead. He's dead from that point, as in from 7,000 years after then. I could be wrong now. I'm glad Harry's here in the comments, because I always got a little bit confused about that myself. I was like, is either he was 7,000 years old when he died, or he was he was in prison for another 7,000 years until he died.
He was in prison for 7,500 years.
Yeah,
that's what he says.
Yeah,
and then it's kind of like that last bit at the end. It's kind of like, okay, so is he trapped for did he get sort of trapped in the time stream for 7,000 years and then die of old age while trapped in there? Or is it just he sent to the very far future? Was it 7,000 years in the future? It's like,
that's what I got from it. That's what I've always got from it, is that he dies. But then, as Daniel has just said, he is in Big Finish, and that's set after the televised story, and he's been in comics and stuff as well. So it's like, it's whether you consider Big Finish to be definitely canon from the TV show. So it's like, okay, unless it's like a previous story before Pyramids of Mars.
This is it. When it comes to things like canonicity, it's kind of like, unless it's contradicted by something in the actual TV show or said by the writers of the TV show, then there's no reason to consider it not canon. You know?
Yeah.
It's
there we go.
It's just like a hierarchy for it. So.
That's what. So that's what I thought. That's when Harry says he's going into the future. It's as close to infinity and will die before it reaches the end. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So it's like from the point where he's sent it back, he lives 7,000 years. Because he's not immortal. He's just very powerful, and nothing can really kill him apart from old age.
Well, this is it. Other than the other Osirans, but they decided not to. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Well, the Doctor reckons he won't survive. Well, yeah, he wouldn't. But then you never know. Leads us to the interesting possibilities of him coming back and everything. So
He obviously has an idea of like an Osiran's lifespan. So he's probably going, well, judging by this time, he's just gonna snuff it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, obviously you got the famous bit where it's like where Sarah Jane's in the TARDIS. She's like, well, why don't we just leave? He goes, well, we can't do that because people you shape the future. Yeah. And it's like, this is what 1980 will look like if we leave, a barren wasteland. That for me is like one of the most iconic scenes in Doctor Who history, because it really does emphasize time travel told well. You know what I mean? Like, unlike the later on in the series where they sort of mess around with it and say, oh yeah, we can just jump into each other's time streams, it's fine. It's like, oh no, this is how it's done. It's done properly.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can, for whatever point in time you're in, if things change from there, it doesn't matter where you came from in the time stream. It's kind of, it's just cardinal rules of time travel. They always flex and change. It always makes things a bit strange and silly.
Yeah, but, depending on what the writers want to do that week.
Well, this is it. I'm okay with them always making things, as long as it's always consistent within at least that particular story, which it is for this one. Saying they don't do too much of the time traveling. I think the only time traveling bit they really kind of do is this one point that they're making. But yeah, beyond that, it's pretty. Yeah, it's all fairly self-consistent. I think, like I said, I don't have any other problems other than like little nitpicks, really. One nitpick is like they make a point of saying like what's his name, Marcus Scarborough.
Scarman.
Is it Scarborough? Scarman, sorry. You correct me all the time, you bastard.
Yeah, but come on, I had to do it then. I just couldn't
resist. Yes, you did.
Someone in the comments, Harry would have done if it wasn't me.
Well, this is it. If we're being, professional in inverted commas, then yeah. Anyway, they make a point of saying that he's dead, and it's like, okay, that's fine. He's dead, and his body's just being controlled. Okay, fine.
An animated human cadaver.
Animated human cadaver. But then at the end, when Sutekh's control of him leaves, he's like, "Oh, I'm free. Then he dies. It's like, well, shouldn't he just fall down dead straight away?
Well,
Again, yeah.
I think that was Sutekh saying he's free. You know what I mean? And then obviously Scarman's now just a useless husk to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then see, I'd go with that if it was a case of Scarman was obviously being like, no, I'm Sutekh talking through this body. It's like, it's very much a case of, no, he's talking to the body because that's where he's got it on he talks to him through the sarcophagus time tunnel.
Yeah, no, but he says, I am Sutekh as well. So Sutekh is using him essentially as, he's using him as a puppet. Therefore, he's basically embodying, it's like the Doctor says, he goes, he's basically Sutekh's. He's given himself arms and legs. So it's like, in that way, he is Sutekh, just remotely, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a nitpick rather than anything that's actually going to sort of slow down or disrupt the enjoyment of the episode or just the story in general. Like I said, it's like little things like oh, how does like the brother Lawrence know about the I keep wanting to call him a poacher, so I have to check myself that he's a groundskeeper, even though they don't even really say it. But anyway, it's like, oh, how does he happen to know the guy's got like dynamite or sort of gelignite in his little hut? It's like,
because he lives
I heard
there.
him using it.
It is his house, so it's like he obviously knows where that stuff is.
Live with the groundskeeper. Yeah.
No, the groundskeeper obviously lives like further along in the grounds, but it's the house where they grew up in. So he obviously knew from time past that that was in there.
Yeah. One moment that comes up related to that I do really appreciate is obviously if this was made today, it's like when they're trying to go to the groundskeeper's hut, it's kind of, they get to the force barrier, and then out would come the sonic screwdriver and the great big swishy arm. It's like, oh look, oh yeah, we'll do that. And it's like, no, the doctor picks up a stick.
We'll just close the time corridor with magic wand. Brilliant. Oh, sorry, we were trying not to get onto her in this episode. Well, no, this is supposed to be a positive episode.
It is positive because it is positive because it's kind of like, okay, here's just the normal solution. It's a stick. Put it up against the force barrier that you can't see, and use that to find the edge.
Well, he does use it. He does use it against on the key when he's going through the door. He does have the sonic screwdriver there, but he uses it so subtly that it's like you almost forget it's in his hand. That's how you should use it.
Yeah, to open the occasional door. Great.
Yeah, including invisible ones. Right, let's read some of these comments. Just as we're going along, because I don't want to sort of miss people out. Lee Anthony Davis, hello, sir. Hello again for joining us. Thank you. 1980, sir, if you want to get off. Yeah, exactly. It's come back to that iconic scene again, isn't it? Alternative time, Harry says, yeah. The best way Doctor Who can get away with anything is alternative time. yeah. Or perception filter. I'm Sutekh's instrument of death. He needs no other. Yeah. I kind of felt sorry for Ibrahim Amin because he's been searching for this moment for so long in his family's history, and then he just gets killed by someone else. Someone else who does it for him.
Yeah. So I do like the effects in this, considering it's back in like the 1980s. 1975.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you got the effect of as he's walking through
with the smoke.
Marcus Starman, the smoke coming out of his feet and then out of his hands as he grabs onto him. It's great. Love that.
Yeah.
It's a little thing, but it's like, you know what?
No, it's subtle, but then you can imagine there would be that kind of effect going through that kind of instrument. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It gives you the feeling of like, no, he is kind of walking death. I wish they'd kept it up a little bit, but I get it's probably difficult to do, especially back in those days. You probably needed the big black suit he was wearing to hide the pipes and stuff for how it was all working. But
pipes under the bin bag.
Yeah, pipes under the bin bag. What are you drinking this evening, Sean?
I'm being lame. I'm just drinking Coke tonight. Because my cousin sent me some really nice beers. Hey, my cousin sent me some really nice beers for Easter, and I want to savor them because they're not like your typical the Fosters and all that we drink. It's like nice fruity pale ale. So I'm like, if I drink that while on this, I'll just like knock them back and not really enjoy them. So I thought I'd be semi-professional this evening.
Well, here's the thing, Sean. We don't have to call ourselves professional because we don't charge for this or anything, do we? We don't make any money, so we don't have to call it professional. It's fine.
No. Amateur at best. But look, we've got 7 people watching. Yay! If you do us a favour and hit that like button, that'd be lovely. Yeah, it's just a chat. Anyone's welcome to chime in. What did you think of the? I know we're skipping ahead a bit. You know, the riddle bit at the end, towards the end, where it's like, well, if you're programmed to be deceitful, then that means the other one must be. I've always loved that bit.
This is it. I've always loved that puzzle because it's kind of, I personally never remember the answer, but I always remember kind of what the answer is. So it's always fun to see that. It's kind of like, okay, if one tells the truth and one always lies, I'll ask one.
Then I have to ask you. I have to ask you the truth because And then even if you do say it, then you're still gonna it's still gonna be that one. So it has to be the other one.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So that way, no matter what happens, whichever one he asks, he gets the right answer. And it's like, I love that puzzle because, again, like I said, I never remember the answer to it. And it's like, when you can have riddles like that appear, things. This is what I'm saying. If you could have a bit more time in that pyramid at the end, do a little bit more with it. Stuff like that's great. I love that.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, the title itself is Pyramids of Mars, and yet they only spend time on a pyramid. So it's like
the title's a lie.
Yeah, exactly. Should just be called Pyramid of Mars. Although, even the one they use is on Earth. So anyway, I see what you mean. I would have liked like maybe a whole episode of them going through those sorts of traps.
There, but it's kind of like like I said, if you took out like maybe 5 minutes of them chasing the groundskeeper around, you know, and like bring everything forward a little bit, then you could spend that extra 5 minutes running around the pyramid at the end. Like maybe they get into the pyramid at the end of episode 3, and so towards the end of episode 3, so they're spending a bit more time when they're there in episode 4. It's just something little like that.
A bit more peril.
This is not really. Yeah. It's kind of like, maybe it's like, they go through they're trying to work out the riddle, and then that's your cliffhanger going into part 4 or something. I don't know. Whatever. It's kind of like something little like that. I think would have worked a bit better. But again, like I said, that's my only thing. But yeah.
What do you think of Gabriel Wolf as the man himself, Sutekh?
He has a stunning voice.
He does, doesn't he?
Voice.
That's the thing. It's like when you look at Sutekh, you expect this kind of big booming, but he's got a very sort of quite a delicate, almost soft voice. But it's what he says that makes him so bloody terrifying. Like, I'll shred your nervous system into a million fibers. It's like, that's horrible to imagine, but he says it quite eloquently. You know what I mean?
And I like the eloquence, because if he was just like if he just had sort of like Dalek voice that was kind of like slightly broken Yoda style English or whatever, it's kind of like you don't want that. Not for someone like this. It's kind of like one of the reasons the Master's always been kind of endearing is because he just speaks like a normal person, and he's got a slightly, he used to. He had a back in the good old days. He used to have like a slightly posh upper class accent sort of way of talking in terms of the words he used.
That's why Doctor Who was so good back then, because people could speak English properly. Now it's just like it's just all colloquial shit, and I know which is rich coming from me considering how I talk. But I like my Doctor Who that way. It's just like that's always bugged me about the new series, the way they just sort of dumb everything down.
We've all come from the gutter. It's absolutely fine.
It's like I've come from the gutter. I don't want to watch it on my TV. Thanks very much.
No,
I'm not a snob at all.
Okay. Well then, what did you think about sort of the henchmen, the mummies, other than the man boobs? Yeah.
Well, they were horrible because obviously they're silent. And they're faceless, so they are literally just like relentless killing machines. But you can't hear them coming because they're sneaky and stealthy, and they're larger than your typical mummy, if that makes sense. And they literally they just don't stop, because they are just completely under Sutekh's control, and like little bits like indicate your understanding.
Just nod.
It's just like they will just do anything they are programmed to, which is terrifying. So I always find it funny when you see the first one come out of the sarcophagus, and he goes, you just see him turning, and he just goes. I don't know why that makes me laugh. It's just like, oh, here we go. Just one of those silly little things, but they were cool.
It's the fact they've got back in the sarcophagus after he murdered the butler. It's like murders the butler, gets back in the sarcophagus to hide. Like,
nothing to see here.
It's like
mummies on steroids. Exactly.
Ibrahim already knows you're there because he's been trying to get you out of the sarcophagus and everything. You're going to kill the other bloke anyway. Why are you hiding? Why are you hiding, you crazy mummy?
Probably went on to be in the Orient Express. As Harry says, if Satan exists, it will be Gabriel Wolf's voice. Yeah, exactly. Because it's got that. You can imagine. Well, Satan technically, I suppose, is referred to as another name for Sutekh. Set. He's no matter what mythology you're in, he's the evil one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Gabriel Wolf would have that just horrible, menacing, but quite eloquent. Because obviously, if Satan being the fallen angel, he wasn't always, he was close to God, so he would have spoken quite well.
Well, that's one of the things they kind of make a bit of a reference to, of Sutekh being the actual Satan in this. They kind of call him that by name towards the end. When the Doctor calls him that by name, it's one of Set, Sutekh, Satan.
Yeah,
all the names you'll know.
Something beginning with S.
Like yeah.
Which always reminds me of Impossible Astronaut, Satan Pit, and how annoying it was that he wasn't Sutekh in that. Because you got Gabriel Wolf after fucking nearly 40 years. You brought him back to voice the Beast, but you didn't make him Sutekh. It's like, oh, come the fuck on.
You
had a golden opportunity. Yeah, I mean, okay, we just talked about how he's not got a booming voice in Pyramids of Mars, but even in that, it's still haunting.
So, if Sutekh's going to come back in like a canon way, how would you have them do it?
Well, again, I suppose they already have done that in Big Finish. I just haven't. I don't know how. So Daniel will probably be the best person to ask about that one. I mean, you can always get around it by saying he was intercepted in the time tunnel somehow before he died, and then that sort of rewrites history because it's alternative time and stuff like that. There's always some way they can work around it.
Yeah, well, that's it. He just survived until he came out the other end. He just ended up back in, like, I don't know,
back to the beginning.
He just ended up back to the beginning. It's just he was like, I don't know, like 100,000 years in the future or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, Paul. Thanks for joining us again, mate. How's it going? Good to see you.
Hey, Paul.
Harry says pacing the 4 parts flow so well. Yeah, and that's what for me. That's for me why this edges Genesis of the Daleks, because it's obviously Genesis of the Daleks is an all-time classic, but there is that gap. There is that sort of 2 episode lull, which drags it down a little bit for me.
Yeah. With this story, they've kind of trimmed the fat down a little bit. I know, like I've already said, it's kind of like, you could probably drop a couple of minutes of them chasing the groundskeeper around. But again,
like I said, it's just building tension, isn't it?
It's kind of, none of it's bad. And like I said, if that's the only issue I've got, it's a nitpick at best. But it's kind of if the Beast is Satan, what is Sutekh? Same thing. Satan, Sutekh is supposed to be the.
Well, yeah, but they didn't even there was no mention. Like even the Doctor in that episode didn't even say, Satan. Could it be? Could it be? There was nothing like that. So there wasn't even a hint that it was the same character. It wasn't.
Well, no, it's kind of they're reintroducing Doctor Who and getting it all back. So it's kind of back to being back in the public consciousness. You don't want to kind of go for references to villains that people may not necessarily know. Yeah. We all know who Sutekh is because we've watched the episodes and the best ones and love him. Like,
he's iconic though. Like even though he's only in one story, he's like up there he's up in the echelons of the Daleks and the Cybermen. For me, anyway, just because of how unbelievably close he was to just ending everyone. And it's like he never really had that kind of tension with a one-off villain since then. I don't think.
Yeah, that's kind of the point they make, isn't it? It's kind of like someone like Sutekh is so unimaginably powerful that it's kind of he can't actually change the course of time on his own if he wants to. He can change.
Yeah, just destroy the timeline
and not in a timeless way. Yeah, he would be that sort of level of chaos and stuff. It'd be interesting. Well, I'd say it'd be interesting to see him do that. But you couldn't do it and get away with it, could you?
Oh. Well, you could basically do I suppose like what they did in Last of the Time Lords, where you have like the aftermath of the destruction and the chaos and how they sort of come back from it. Apart from they'll probably just press a reset button. So no, ignore what I just said there.
Yeah.
Harry says Genesis is 2 parts too long. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. A 4-part story is basically there is the right amount of stuff in it. I can't really, other than my nitpicky thing, it's kind of like there's nothing you could add to that story, and there's nothing that you should take away from it really either. It's kind of it is the right length for what the story is, and getting the pacing.
I quite like to have seen more of Sutekh himself, but then he was technically he's in the story from the very beginning through other characters like the mummies and Scarman and stuff. So there is that. There is obviously that there.
Yeah. Listen, if you showed more of him or doing more things, it would start to take away a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, history. No, that's true.
You see enough of Sutekh. The fact that he's paralyzed the entire story until the last moment. It's kind of It's kind of If he was doing other stuff, Sean's vaping in the background there.
No, I'm not. Well, I could just do it on camera, but I don't think people. I don't think people want to see a load of smoke blow into the camera. Yeah, exactly.
No. Yeah, no, that's fine.
So, what did you think of Tom Baker in this story? Yeah, because I thought actually. I didn't realise it, but watching it back, he's actually quite aggressive in this episode. Especially not aggressive, but he's quite snappy. Especially with Sarah, like when they're in the field trying to get the what's it called, the explosives.
The gelignite.
The gelignite, yeah, that's the one. And it's just certain things that he says that he snaps at her is a bit like it kind of made me laugh because obviously you're used to him being very smiley and eccentric, but you can tell he's just getting the raging hump because he's like, oh well. He's like, you care about these people dying? Well, millions of other people will die if we don't fucking stop him. So we got to get on with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's it. I felt that was fairly appropriate for like the Doctor as who the Doctor should be. It's kind of like, it's sad that these people have died. However, this is we're trying to stop this person from killing millions and millions more. So we'll worry about all them who died later. Sort this shit out first. But no,
this is kind of
He's not gone.
I do too. I just noticed he was very much like, it was a bit like in Caesar Doom. He's just berserk in that, like with his sort of frantic nature, I suppose.
This is it. There's a few good moments of comedy in there. Not all of it's like nice little subtle stuff. I think the closest thing they have to like a silly joke, and I say that in big inverted commas with a great big asterisk at the end, is in the 4th episode where they got the mummy standing there, the Doctor and Sarah Jane
walk around the corner,
meme. Turn around and walk
it's the meme again. Nope. It's that nope meme, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the closest thing they have to a silly joke. Everything else is just kind of the little bits and pieces of humour derived from the characters and how they are with each other.
Well, it's just the general mannerisms of Tom Baker, really. He's just funny anyway.
All that stuff's great, and it's kind of that, and that's how you do comedy, or at least something that's appropriate to the story and the characters, because it's kind of like
rather than like a certain
rather than a turn of scrunch face.
Doctor is Hashtag constipated scrunch face. Hail Daniel. Let's see, Leanne Davis. I've got a question for you, Nerdaholics. Which actor in the Pyramids of Mars has been the longest guest actor in Doctor Who, being in Ark, Mind of Evil, Invisible Enemy, Castrovalva, and Remembrance? It's not. Is it Warlock? I can't remember his name though. I know the character, Captain Warlock. Is that right? He seems familiar.
Let me look at
Harry would know this.
Harry knows everything. It's not fair. He deleted all his knowledge of stuff so he could learn everything about Doctor Who. And it's just like,
Is this where he keeps his? Yeah, that was another good one. Where he's like, oh, Mr. Ibrahim doesn't really like people coming in. He says from being in Egypt. And he's like, oh, is this where he keeps his relatives? Yeah, that was good. Michael Sheard. Oh yeah, that's right. Well done, Paul. And Harry, you both got it.
Yeah, see, I'm awful with names when it comes to stuff like that. So there was no way I was
you just recognise the face, but
yeah, it's like, oh, I know you. So yeah, but that's about it.
yeah. I recognise you from another episode 10 years before this one. Yeah.
Well, 10 years for difference for them. It's like about 5 minutes difference for me. I've watched it. You should binge watch them all through over the course of a couple of days.
Yeah. Angry Pacifist says, "Is the scrunch face supposed to be comedy?" Well, apparently it's their version of comedy, but it's fun. It's as funny as getting a fucking hole in the head.
Yeah, it's not comedy to people who have a sense of humour, but apparently it's comedy to how the BBC write comedy. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Daniel says Tom's performance is great as always. Oh yeah, it's never not great. It's just some episodes it's like, well, I suppose that's just the nature of the Doctor. He goes through mood swings. It's quite funny.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's kind of he was serious enough, and he did his little sort of like, "Oh, I walk in eternity" moment at the beginning.
I was just going to say, like right at the beginning, it's like, oh, okay, he's being like, it's almost like he feels like it's the end of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's being serious and contemplative, and it's great. And it's like but then you've got him being eccentric and odd every now and again. It's also great. It's kind of like he's got a nice mix to it, and it works really well. And you wouldn't really want to see any. It's weird. You wouldn't want to see any other Doctor do this story. You could probably imagine. So, well, this is it. I
could imagine John Pertwee doing it.
Well, yeah. Well, that's because they run around a stately home for most of the episode.
Well, I was going to say, a bit like in Day of the Daleks. Yeah, so it's like I could see him being this one.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's kind of like I could see other Doctors kind of doing it in my mind's eye and all that, but it's kind of I think it works best with Tom Baker.
Peter Capaldi could probably do it quite well. Well, I suppose Mummy on the Orient Express was Peter Capaldi's Pyramids of Mars, wasn't it? He's very similar to Tom Baker in that episode as well.
Oh,
sort of the certain mannerisms.
That's not a healthy comparison, and you know it.
I didn't say it was as good as it. I just said it's similar. It's like it's his version. There's a mummy on it, and he's got to work out how to stop people dying. So in that respect, it's quite similar. But yeah, that's and in terms of what other Doctors could pull it off, he would be. Well, he could pull off any story really. I think Peter Capaldi. To be honest with you.
Well, yeah, okay, but that's just because Peter Capaldi's got like solid gold acting nuts. So yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Exactly. Solid gold.
Yeah. Oh dear. I'm trying to think of if there's. Well.
The music. I love the music in this episode. It's quite the organ always makes me feel uncomfortable because it's like.
Yeah.
It's just sinister, and obviously I suppose it's more if you think about it in terms of it's like a signal rather than an actual song, but it's still like it's still horrible. You know what I mean? It's very haunting, and then you've got bits when they're out on the outside running from the mummies, and there's moments of silence followed by. It's just like I like that sort of subtlety with it.
It's what the brother Lawrence got shot in the lung, didn't he? And he was still running around, so until he got murdered by the mummies. But
yeah, I'm thinking it took a long time for him to bleed out, didn't it? And then he didn't bleed out anyway. But then he got murdered anyway later. So it's like poor fucker. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother died. Crazy Egyptian bloke has taken over my house with mummies. I've been shot in the lung, bleeding horribly. And then
I'm fine. I'm just going to lie down here for a minute, and then yeah.
I was going to lie down for a bit.
He gets strangled anyway. It's like, fucking hell.
So the Mummy on the Orient Express is simple city fluff or simple-minded.
Mental low-hanging fruit. Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst story. It's not the worst story from that season, though. In my opinion. I mean, Kill the Moon is just fucking horrendous. And Death in Heaven, don't get me started on that episode again. But yeah.
That's Dr. Warlock. Have I got them
Professor
confused
Warlock.
again?
Yeah. Why? What did you say?
Warlock.
Did you say Lawrence Scarman?
I said Lawrence. I said Lawrence Scarman, didn't I?
Yeah, but he also dies, but later.
Oh, sorry, I don't know anyone's names. I can't do none of this. I don't know what's going on.
No, don't worry. It's all right. You're forgiven.
You see, you say that now, but now this has gone out to the internet, and it's like the whole world, the whole universe will know through the internet, and then I'm forever shamed.
People know what we're like. They still they still watch us. Some of them.
Yes, but we don't have the excuse of alcohol this time.
No, we're just tired. That's what it is. That's what we'll blame it on. Angry Pacifist, Forest of the Night. Oh God, Forest of the Night. Yeah. I think the Forest of the Night was dreadful as well. But yeah, season 8 was just crap, as far as I'm concerned. So many people are like, that's the best Peter Capaldi season. Season 9 was dreadful. I'm like, no, it's the other way around, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Season 9 had better episodes in it on average than season 8. So, oh God. Yeah. No.
First time that Sarah Jane uses a gun. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
in a pretty Victorian dress.
Pretty Victorian dress. It's like, yeah, this is strange feelings I'm having right now.
It's funny because actually you think, is he talking about Queen Victoria or Victoria, the companion Victoria? You think it could be either, really, couldn't it?
Well, it could be either. I imagine it's probably the companion Victoria. I think was probably the intention.
No, I think it's Queen, because she says, "Oh, as long as Albert wasn't." Yeah, that was another quite funny joke that the Doctor didn't laugh at. As long as Albert wasn't wearing it. Oh, come on, that was funny.
Oh, you see, that's the
there we go, Harry. We're one mind as usual. As long as Albert wasn't wearing
it. And I have to say, looking up some of the details of this, it's kind of good to. It's kind of interesting to see sort of what was ad-libbed and what wasn't, because there's some of the behind-the-scenes stuff was that they had to rewrite a lot of this to actually make it filmable, but obviously that means chunks of it were not quite right. So some of the bits and pieces were ad-libbed, like the meme joke of the note walking around the corner. That was all Tom Baker. He came up with that, and it's like,
he ad-libbed all the time. He was he was like a cross between Patrick John Pertwee and Patrick Troughton, because obviously Patrick Troughton was quite aloof on set, and he didn't really stick to the script as much as John Pertwee did. So John Pertwee was very sort of a stickler for sticking to the script, and then you've got Tom Baker, who's kind of like, he's serious, but he's also taking a piss a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see bits and pieces like that. So I imagine a lot of the humor bits and pieces with them ad-libbing stuff, and it's like, yeah, I'm loving it. It's working really well.
So before we went live, I was just saying to Jack that I couldn't actually find my DVD copy of this episode, so I had to bloody watch it on BritBox. So I wanted to go over some of the special features, but the one that I do remember is in the is the scene where where Marcus Scarman when they shoot him, and then he sort of absorbs the smoke and then walks back to the window. That was actually done in reverse. So he actually walks backwards in real life, but they filmed it so then they could reverse the smoke back in. And he had to walk in a certain way where it didn't look like he was walking backwards, and then they had to reshoot it, reverse it so that it did look like it. So I thought that was quite a cool touch.
But this is it. It's like some of these little tricks. It's kind of like, you know what? That's fine. It's kind of it doesn't take a lot to do a good effect. And if it's just a simple thing of like, okay, walk like this backwards, so that way we can reverse it to make it go forwards and have the smoke go back in. Yeah.
But you have to make it look like you're not walking forwards. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was obviously found it quite tough. So I thought that was a nice clever touch.
Well, this is it. It's kind of little bits and pieces. Yeah. Well, what else was on the DVD special bits and pieces?
I can't remember. That's the only one I remember, because that's the thing. I can't find the DVD anywhere. I was kicking myself. It must be in one of the cupboards or something. So I was just like, I'll just have to watch the episode for as it is and try and remember what I remember from that.
Yeah, this is it. So I think there was the only thing I remember from when I was watching it on the DVD, as opposed to this time I watched it through Daily Motion on the internet, which is probably sailing the high seas at this point, but I don't know. So shrug. But is that and they opened the TARDIS door in 1980s. That's now Wasteland. Before that, it's got either before or afterwards. They got the door open and you can see Earth from space, and it's like you can see the whole planet's a black wasteland, and it's like it's a little thing. It's kind of like it's like I don't know why they cut that or didn't use it, but shrug. It's just
I think it was more impactful actually being on Earth and seeing it as a barren wasteland as opposed from a distance to give you that full effect of, oh shit, this is going to happen. Yeah. This is the future if we don't change it.
Yeah. That said, I'd like to know how a mountain formed at the side when there was that inside a house and there was no clear mountainside next to the house. But that's
alternative time, Jack. Don't worry about it.
So Sutekh took the time to make a crater just where the house was.
Well, I imagine his way of destroying things would involve like fire and and lots of seismic activity.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Except he was defeated because he couldn't count for 2 minutes.
2 minutes of radio waves. Yeah, I suppose 2 minutes to him is like 2 milliseconds. It's just give him a break.
Well, yeah, he does live. Well, he's lived for 14,500 years that we can kind of account for, probably longer.
Yeah, exactly.
So in prison for 7,500 of them, died after another 7,000 being sent into the future and all that. So it's like,
That's true. Paul Bryant, Moffat gave Capaldi pure filth to work with. A good actor can make bad writing better. A bad actor can't do anything. Worse when you combine a hack writer and a bad actor. Exactly, and that's what has been happening in the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who, especially when you combine the two crap. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, Moffat he was a bit of a hack here and there, I have to say. Come out with some gems. I know they
he had great ideas, but he
few and far between.
Very well. Yeah. Well, this is it. It's kind of like his idea of having like the silence and the whole religious order side of things is a good idea in concept. It just wasn't quite executed in the right way. I
prefer the idea of. I know we're veering off Pyramids of Mars here, but we'll come back to it here and there. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I like the idea of them in the first place, where they're basically just post-hypnotic suggestion aliens that have shaped the course of history. But then it turns out, oh no, it's just a sect, one fundamentalist sect of the entire race that are actually quite nice. It's like, I didn't really like that.
It's
a wasted idea. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, like I said, it's a good idea. It's just not executed the best way.
No.
Yeah.
Like tectonics, exactly. That's how there was a mountain there, Joke. See, we have a geologist in the house, so that's the word.
Yeah, but okay, what's the name of tectonic plates underneath? Wherever the hell that house is supposed to be in the UK.
He'll answer it. Don't worry.
It's
I was wondering, Harry is our best friend from my best friend from college and work, and Jack's as well. So he's we're trying to get him on the show, but he's just going to chat at the moment. But he is, like I said, I've mentioned him before. He is the master when it comes to Doctor Who. Like certainly more than we know.
He is the font of our knowledge. This is how we know what we know.
Sort of carrying on his legacy.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. The Doctor has 3 plans to stop Sutekh over the course of this 4-episode story. It's the first. Obviously, he has the final plan, which he uses. He adjusts the time and sends him off into the far distant future, which is an off-the-cuff, fairly clever plan at the very end of it, just through luck. The second plan was they're going to stop the missile, which was just a little mini pyramid built out in the garden. And the first plan was they were going to, pyramid on Earth. And the first plan was they were going to mess around with what the fuck was it? What the hell was that machine called? They were going to mess around with the signals to stop all the people
the radio wave thing.
The radio wave thing.
Yeah, he says it so quickly I can never remember what the fucking name of it is. But it's that thing. the less cumbersome version of it.
Yeah. Macaroni scope.
Macaroni scope. There we go. See, this is why it's useful to have Harry in here. Finally.
But this is it. I mean, yeah. It's kind of, that's actually really quite impressive, because it's kind of like normally, and there's usually one idea, and it's kind of like they adapt it and change it a little bit, or it fails and then they come up with something new towards at the end afterwards. But this one, he kind of got like, okay, this is my first plan. Crap, that didn't work. Okay, here's my second plan. That didn't work. Crap.
Well, it's what's known as a MacGuffin, isn't it? So you think, right, we'll go here and do this. Oh no, we have to go here and do this. Oh no, we have to go and do this as well. Yeah, but it's acceptable MacGuffin. It's not like fucking.
Does it really count as a MacGuffin? Yeah.
Well, I think
it's kind of, does it really count as
where you need to be, then I suppose maybe. But if it's just changing every time, then yes.
Yeah, because it's like the first thing with the radio waves is kind of established, and it's kind of like they do it, and it's like, okay, that didn't work. Okay, they kind of pulled the Gelignite a little bit out of nowhere, but it's kind of like, you know what, they could have quite easily turned around and said like, oh, I happen to have this on the TARDIS that can be used as a bomb by doing this with it, if they really needed to do something like that, and that's fine.
Well, you also have your explosive thing in there, don't you?
Yeah, all I need is an explosive thing of some sort, or all I need to do is get close to it and do this with it, and it won't work. It's still fine. It's kind of, it's not. I wouldn't call that like a MacGuffin thing, mainly because it's got sort of, not MacGuffin, a Deus Ex Machina or anything. It's just the TARDIS console bit at the end. It's kind of like they didn't really. They marked off the whole. Oh yeah, it's about 2 minutes gap at the beginning. So when it comes back at the end, watching this as 4 episodes in a row, it's kind of, you don't forget about the 2 minutes time difference. And if you're paying attention when they mention it again at the end, it works. So it's kind of like, I think, actually, I'm fairly impressed that they kind of did that, and I didn't feel like any of them were like I said, the only sort of arse pull they had was where they got the Gelignite from. But even then, that's not exactly a big problem. Like I said, nitpicks on my own.
No, it's just leading up. It's just leading up to the bigger picture, isn't it? I think especially in like a 4-part story. You know, you can't just if they knew everything, it'd be over in 1 episode. So you have to sort of build these things up cleverly, but without stretching it out too thin.
Yeah, this is it. It's about making it work and making it all look pretty good. Okay, what's the time on this so far? About now. Okay.
Yeah, so we're coming up to an hour. So those of you who just joined us, thank you very much. We're just talking about Pyramids of Mars and going off topic slightly with like New Who as well, of course. But yeah, so
somewhere, haven't we?
Say that again.
We've got to get the moaning in somewhere, haven't we?
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I think it's almost not as entertaining talking about something we like. It's just like, this was great. This is an amazing episode of Doctor Who. Let's talk about it for a bit. You know what I
mean? There's people asking questions in the chat.
Yeah, let's go through some of these comments. So Paul says that was before Tesla was given his credit as the creator of the radio. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chibnall is the hacker for hacks, says Daniel. Yeah. Or do you want to read? Yeah, read them and I'll vape for a bit.
That's it. You vape. Well, then you can answer the questions because. Okay. Well, that's kind of cheating because Harry's just answered one of the answers in there. Okay. If you haven't seen it, then I'll Sean you this question. Which actors doubled up for William Hartnell in The Reign of Terror and The Chase? But don't look at the comments because Harry's already.
Oh, but it's too late. I've already seen his answer, but I knew they doubled up. I just didn't know the name.
Yeah. Which actor played 3 roles?
The Reign of Terror, wasn't he ill for a bit?
I don't know. I'm awful with the names, and I'm awful with that sort of detail. It's kind of like. Actually, you know what? I have a brain like a sieve.
Well, the angry pacifist question: which actor played 3 roles across Dr. Sarah Jane and Torchwood? I'm trying to think of I was going to say Peter Capaldi, but he wasn't in Sarah Jane, was he? No.
Whoa.
Harry, you might know that one as well. He probably knows that one. The thing is, I didn't watch Sarah Jane Adventures, shockingly, so I'll probably go back and give it a go.
Yeah.
But
This is it. I watched the first Sarah Jane one, mainly because it came out on New Year's. I was off because obviously back to New Year's. I didn't realize it was like a kids show rather than a family show. And it's like,
I mean, I've seen scenes from it. Like I've seen when Matt Smith turns up. I mean, he's and Joe Grant's in it. I watched that scene. That was cool. But other than that, I didn't really. That's what it was kind of lost to me in Journey's End when the computer thing turns up with her son and stuff. It was like, I'm assuming that's from Sarah Jane Adventures. Brilliant.
Yeah. Hang on, you didn't go back and watch the one that had David Tennant in it?
No. No, I didn't, to my shame. But only because I was just a bit sick of David Tennant by then. you know what I mean?
Well, he was hamming it up a lot. Julian Bleach, that's the answer.
Julian Bleach. Oh yeah, because he played some weird
he did a weird
Ford villain looking character in Torchwood, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was announced as Davros, and it was like, okay, cool, yeah, kind of, I can see that. Because do you remember when there were rumors that it was going to be fucking Patrick Stewart playing Davros, and it was like, I don't think so. Somehow,
awesome.
It would have been cool.
If they got Patrick Stewart to be Davros, I mean, well, considering he's 97 odd years old now, all you have to do is like stick the fake eye on his head. You wouldn't have to do any makeup or anything anymore.
No.
So, leave him out in the sun for a bit too long.
Yeah. Bless him.
Well, he's probably looking for work now that Picard's gone down the toilet.
Haven't they just commissioned season 2 of that though?
Yeah, but they're not going to make it. They can't.
Well, they can't make it right now, can they? But
no, of course they can't make it right now. But Viacom CBS is like in so much trouble financially. They don't have the money to make it. Yeah, they really have no money for making that sort of stuff. But not unless they could guarantee it's going to make them a lot of money. But considering how it's been received, it's no one is happy.
Yeah, I will give it a go. It's just a bit apprehensive considering what I've heard about it so far. But I'll reserve judgment and watch it. As Paul said last time, it's always good to make your mind up about these things, and it's like, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, okay. Okay. What? Actually, that makes me think. What did Julian Bleach do in Sarah Jane Smith then?
No idea.
Because it's kind of.
I think Daniel's seen it.
Yeah.
Daniel says I would play a good Davros. I saw one of your streams the other day, Daniel, and your name was the Scottish Davros on it. I was like, that's fucking amazing. Yeah. Fair play to you.
Weird Ghost. Okay.
Oh, Weird Ghost. All right.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's probably worth going back. Well, you know what? If Sarah Jane Adventures was a good show, it's probably worth going back to it. Nightmare Man.
Oh, right there. Okay. Nightmare Man.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. And Geek Unions confirmed that as well.
Yeah. Season 4. Okay. Yeah, well, no, it's it. If it's recommended by people, like I said, I watched one episode of it and it's just like, it didn't really take me. Then I just kind of watched the stuff that David Tennant and Matt Smith crossed over into because I thought it was going to be relevant. It wasn't really, but
no, not really.
Yeah. Answer is Terry Walsh. That was for who crossed over.
In the Chase, or was that Reign of Terror? Which one was that? I can't remember. Oh, it was one of the two, wasn't it? The Stuntman, yeah.
Unless that's for who doubled up with Tom Baker in Sontaran Experiment.
Oh yeah, because he broke his hand, didn't he? Was it his hand or his ankle? I think it was his ankle, wasn't it? Harry again, confirm. It was one of the two. I knew he broke something.
Yeah.
Or was it his neck? No, it might have been his neck. No, it was his neck because he was wearing a scarf around it. It was not his neck, but it was like his collarbone or something, wasn't it?
Collarbone.
Yeah, collar. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. I like the Sontaran Experiment, but it feels a bit odd because it's only like 2 episodes, so it's literally really quite short. It's about 50 minutes to watch the whole thing. It's like, I don't know. It was just because I wasn't expecting that.
It gets the job done though. It's quite a nice sort of linking episode.
Nice, quick little story. Yeah. You got to film it on a budget. Let's go out to a field somewhere. All you need is like the.
You should be treating me as not a guest. Paul says Sarah Jane Adventures was okay, pretty good. It's not Doctor Who, it stands on its own merits. Well, yeah, and I suppose with any spin-off show, you want it to hold up by itself without riding on like the parents' coattails, as it were.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's kind of, if you're going to have these bits, if you're going to have its own show, it's like, and they don't really use things like K9 got little references here and there, but then again, as you say, they're trying to make their own show with their own history, their own lore and background stuff. So it's kind of that way they can make these things just last that bit longer and just be their own thing.
Yeah, legacy characters.
Yeah.
Geek Union says, my favourite villain in Sarah Jane Adventures is definitely the Trickster. I think a load of people would agree. You guys definitely need to check out more Sarah Jane. But yeah, I've heard about the Trickster. I have heard about the Trickster. And yes, I think any sort of anything tied to Doctor Who pre-Chibnall is worth checking out. Apart from maybe Class, which again I've heard is a bit crap, but I don't know. I'm not really the biggest spin-off fans. I thought Torchwood was good in places, but yeah.
That's it. I mean, Torchwood was strange when they did Children of Earth. I thought
that was by far the best.
I thought that was definitely the right sort of format for what they do. Like do like a 5-episode
daily
or 5 parts, one continuous story, and whether you did it daily or had it like once a week, either way, it's just kind of like that one continuous story.
It was daily though, wasn't it, when they transmitted it? Am I just making that up?
No, it was daily. So they did 5 episodes, one every day of the week.
Yeah, that's it. And I thought that really worked because it gave you that sort of real-time feel to it. And it was horrible. Like the concept of what these aliens were doing was just nasty. Like using kids as basically drugs. Yeah, it's just like, whoa, okay. That's some dark shit right there.
This is it. It's kind of... You played a character called the Night in the 94 series. Something to dream stays placed in the real world. This character was performed similarly. Okay. So I'm just reading a few of the bits and pieces here. I was hoping Katie Manning would continue where Sarah Jane left off. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, she could have done. I mean, she's getting on a bit, but I mean, she's not like, she can still run. Do you know what I mean? She's still got a bit of life left in her yet.
Yeah, as long as you do the running around. I mean, that's the only thing that you kind of really need.
It just looks a bit like this these days.
Yeah.
Where are we now? Children of Earth is a freaking masterpiece, says Geek Union. Yeah, it is. And obviously Peter Capaldi helps that along quite nicely too. Although I don't know whether the only thing that's always sort of bugged me is when Gwen goes, "Oh, the Doctor must have turned his back on us in shame." It's like, would he though? Would he have really done that? I don't know. I think something as bad as that, he may have got involved, but I suppose it was just a way of not getting him involved in a worldwide danger, I suppose.
This is it. I mean, it's kind of like the story they were trying to do is, I don't want to say adult or mature, more adult mature, but it's kind of it's clearly aimed at a more adult mature audience than Doctor Who, because Doctor Who is more of just a family show. It's meant to be anyone can watch it and it's fine. This is obviously dealing with things. It's like you got soldiers kind of going into people's homes and dragging out kids while holding the parents back in like that last episode. Kind of like, you can't have like your 10-year-old child watch that and be like, oh, okay, this isn't the show I was expecting it to be.
Yeah. What happened to the blue box and the fighting aliens?
Yeah. Well, he'll turn up later. It's fine.
Yeah. Angry Pacifist says, I wish Ace had taken over. She lived around the corner. Oh, she lived around the corner. She lived around the corner from, where is it? What's that say? Perivale. I don't know where that is. Sorry, I'm not sure. Correct me. Enlighten me.
This is it. I mean, you've got plenty of companions like Ace that you could quite easily bring back and do something like this with. I mean, whether the BBC...
I know she's been doing Big Finish as well, hasn't she? Recently.
Yeah. You could quite easily bring people like that back and do something like this. I kind of like... you just have to do like an episode in Doctor Who to kind of like reintroduce them, and then off you go with it. But there's no reason why you couldn't do something with this.
Oh, it's in London. Okay, yeah. Says how much I know about the city I was born in. Yeah. Well, in my defence, I haven't lived there for a while. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Harry says, I personally enjoyed class, but mostly because of the teacher. She's awesome. Here's a controversial idea. I think she would do a better doctor than Jodie, although it's not hard. Well, yeah, this is it. I think you could probably get like a matchstick and put some lipstick on it, and it would do a better job than Jodie would.
Well, yeah, you could get a cup of water and write doctor on it, and it would do a better job.
It'd be more like the doctor than she would be. Yeah.
It's you every time you need the doctor to do a speech, you just cut away that glass of water. Every time it's going to do something scientific, you've got that cup of water, but you've got like a sonic screwdriver sitting in the top of it.
Yeah. Fucking magic wand that it is.
Yeah, well, there you go. If they can use it as a magic wand, they can have a cup of water holding it. It's fine. So going back
to I was just going to say, Angry Pacific. What would Doctor Who have been like if Ron Moody had accepted when he turned down a role? And then Angry Pacifist says, short answer, very different. Yeah, yes, very different indeed.
So,
yeah, no, I will check Class out because it's something it's something that's worth a go in the grand scheme of things, I suppose. Peter Capaldi's in one of the episodes, isn't he? Or am I thinking he's in the first episode?
No, he's in the first episode. But so I saw that one. Thing is, I just kind of it was on BBC Three, and it's just kind of like it's not that BBC Three is bad or anything. I think the only way I could get hold of the episodes.
No, BBC Three was good, and then they moved it online, didn't they?
Yeah, so it's kind of like I never really had the impetus to kind of go back and watch it because it's kind of like, you know what, I've got Netflix, I've got all this other stuff, I've got other stuff I need to watch, and it just kind of overtook. I've only got one pair of eyes.
It wasn't the priority. Yeah.
No. Well, this is it. It's like I'm trying to remember what was coming out at the same time when Glass came out. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. About 3 years ago.
It was about 5 years ago, I think. Because if Peter Capaldi was in it, then it would have been. It was around his first season, wasn't it?
It was just it was after Clara left.
Oh, it was after then. All right, yeah. So we're talking 2015, 2016 then. Yeah. Yeah, because there's a moment in it where they've kind of got teachers' names written on one of the walls because it's the Coal Hill School. You've got Danny Pink's name and Clara's name on the wall, and you've got the Doctor kind of look at it and be like, for a moment. Oh yeah, because he still doesn't remember at this point, does he?
I know. I think he does. No, yeah, because he didn't remember at that point. But he remembered the name, but he doesn't know who she is. But anyway, irrelevant. But I think that's roughly when it came out. So before Bill Potts took over as companion.
Yeah. Let's scroll up a bit. I've missed a couple of these comments. Okay. Geek Union says, I enjoyed the teacher in Class, although I didn't really like Class, which just proves that there are better actresses in the UK than Wit Shitter. Yeah, so many more. So many more. Chris Chibnall just went for convenience. He thought, I'll just drag my mate in.
Yeah.
It wasn't even her first choice. It was Olivia Colman, and she took one look at that script and went, fuck that. I'm not being involved with this shit.
Yeah. They're going to have her on The Crown, and she can do a lot of that instead. She also did like The Night Manager as well, about the sort of time she'd have been taken over, and it's like The Night Manager was better.
Oh yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't
it? Crown season 3, she's taken over doing that as well. So it's like, she has more stuff on her plate that's of better quality than anything turned out. So yeah,
very true. Harry says the end reminds me of every Blake 7 series finale. You can't end it there, so be prepared to be annoyed. Yeah, always. It's all a fucking cliffhanger, wasn't it? It's like, oh, you bastards. Let's see, what else have we got here? Daniel says the girl that plays April in Class is smoking hot, pure banging. Well, let's have a look, shall we? April from Class. I believe you, Daniel, but I just want to seeing for myself.
It's got to save the images for later.
Oh yeah. She's quite pretty, isn't she? She's got a bit of a Faith from Buffy look about her, a little bit.
Oh, Elijah Dushku.
Elisa Dushku, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Elisa Dushku.
Yes, Daniel, I agree.
Oh.
Let's see here.
Actually, I think one thing I'll ask now is like, okay, obviously we picked Pyramids of Mars via poll to go, or because it went up against Deadly Assassin. So I think because I'm going to have to sign off in a minute or two.
I was going to say, is there anything else you want to? Should we do I know we've got sort of jumbled all over the place, but should we do a final rating of Pyramids of Mars out of 10 or 5 or whatever? And people in the chat, what would you rate it?
Okay. Well, first of all, let's get it. Okay. Well,
Paul Bryant, Sean looking for spank bank material. Well, you know, something's got to be done.
This is what the internet was invented for.
That's exactly it. Yeah. That's right.
Okay. Well, 10. Yeah, like I said, it's like
yes.
You know what? I'll go with 10.
Mainly because the pacing, the dialogue, just the Egyptology part of it as well, and the fact that Sutekh was just a fucking mind-blowing villain.
Yeah.
And in fact, he was only used once, but he's still iconic. I think it's a testament to just how great that character is. Golden age of Doctor Who. Yeah.
I know I have my nitpicks about it, but you know what? They're nitpicks. That's all they are. And it's kind of like, if I'm having to look that hard to try and find something to complain about, then it's kind of like...
Oh, yeah, you have to really, really dig deep. And then even then, it's like, it's just superficial shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is it. It's kind of like there's nothing actually wrong or bad with this story at all.
No, it is literally perfection.
Yeah, I blaspheme. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And again, Harry says, and from this point onwards, you have alternative time to explain everything. Exactly. It was fucking genius. It's just like, oh man, they were just ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And I think because it doesn't have like a typical classic villain in it, they made their own classic villain. Me even more terrifying than anything he's ever encountered is even what he said. He's just like, this is even more powerful than anything I've ever encountered. So you know shit is about to hit the fan if this guy doesn't get stopped.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, this is what makes him iconic. He doesn't have to do a lot, but the fact that stuff he does do, there's just the amount of terror and fear you can see in an established character who's gone up against Daleks, Sontaran, Cybermen, and God knows what else.
Well, it's just the famous. It's just the line. It's just like, your evil is my good.
Yeah,
I find that good, and it's just like, wow. So the fact that he sees destruction as purity is what makes him so fucking terrifying. And the way the Doctor's just like, you twisted abhorrence. It's like, am I? I see you as a twisted abhorrence because you know you're alive. So it's like that kind of attitude is just like badass.
So so this was obviously decided by poll.
Especially when you look like that. Just the design itself. I mean, I'm not quite a fan of like the goat head version. I prefer him with his mask on, but still, still cool.
Mask could have been. Yeah, so what would people like to see next, or put in a poll against Deadly Assassin? Or is there any preferences for what episode we do next?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, what do you want us to sort of ramble about next time? And I'll do more. I'll actually do what me and Harry used to do back in the day. We used to watch classic episodes, write loads of notes, and then basically talk about it. But we lost all the audio, so it's like so I think for this one we'll have to do it like part by part and just do loads of notes. Because the guy spot the hand holding the cushion, we stand up. He was never known. Yeah, exactly. yeah. He wasn't alone at all, was he? That was fucking brilliant. Oh, Planet of Evil. That's an interesting choice. Could do. Genesis of Daleks. Genesis Daleks always going to be up there. Baker makes Baker makes the story interesting through his charisma. 8 out of 10. Yeah, that's fair play. That's a fair assessment. Angry Pacifist, Sharda 1993 with Tom Baker narration, please. We could do the animated one. Daniel says Green Death. There you go, Jack. That's your favourite story, isn't it?
See, that almost went into the poll, but then you said Pyramid of Mars, and it's like, well, Green Death's never going to beat that. So it's like...
Hey, you never know.
Okay, legitimately, everyone in the chat, who would have picked Green Death over Pyramids of Mars? I can't see chat, so surely you have to tell me if anyone is actually saying
no one's saying a word.
Yeah, deathly silence. Yeah.
Yeah, Harry, no. Yeah, no. Exactly.
Unstoppable says,
Brain of Morbius. Yeah, Brain of Morbius is definitely up there. But what are we? So we're putting the Deadly Assassin against one of these.
Well, this is it. We could take all the suggestions from this so far, just stick all of them in a poll and see which comes out top, and then go from there.
Paul Bryant, nothing over Pyramids of Mars. Yeah, it's really difficult to get anything better than this. To be quite honest with you, it's superlative in every sense of the word. It's just golden age Doctor Who, isn't it? And it's beautiful. Green Death was a good ecologist story. Yeah, I mean, it was the sort of it's kind of, what's the episode? A crap episode. Well, one of many crap episodes from series 12 about pollution. What was it called? Praxius? No, it's not it. Crapsius. Yeah. Anyway, but it shows they did get political back then, but it wasn't like the forefront of the fucking story. It was told in flow of the story, if that makes sense. Robots of Death, Harry's favorite story. Yeah, do you know what? We'd have to get Harry on. Harry, if you want to do Robots of Death, feel free to jump in next time. If it wins the poll, we'll get you in.
If it wins the poll, we'll do Robots of Death, but Harry has to come in on that.
Yeah, definitely, because I wouldn't feel right talking about it without him, him being here. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Arachnids in the UK. Yeah, that was another fucking. Oh god,
that's a golden story. I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, it's amazing. It's one of the best ever.
Sutek's gonna come back now for you, Jack. There we are. That's what you get for talking such. Abase yourself, you groveling insect.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sean.
It's all right. Fucking hell. Spiders. I'd even take fucking Web Planet over that. Planet of Spiders over that. Any other spider story that could have spiders in it. Jack, you fool. Yeah, exactly.
It's what I'm here for.
He's the court jester of the two. I try to sort of keep it like semi-serious. Doesn't always work, but
yeah.
That was complete bullshit, by the way. Mask of Mandragora. Yes. Salami sandwich.
Okay, I'm going to have to cut off in a moment. So I'd say if we take those suggestions, we'll stick them in a poll.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do Robots of Death, because that's come up a couple of times. So we'll do a poll. We'll do Robots of Death against Deadly Assassin in a poll, and then we'll see what wins.
Yeah.
And then Harry, if Robots of Death wins, we'll get you in. How about that?
Yeah.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Tell us to win, Chiang. That's it. Yeah. I mean, it's just any story from the first sort of 3-4 seasons of Tom Baker is just like worth talking about. Well, maybe not the fourth, but definitely the first 3 anyway.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Okay. Right. Well, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that's it.
Right, we're going to call it a night there. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for listening to our ramblings as usual. as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking part in the polls and your suggestions. This has been fun and surprisingly sober, which is probably for the best.
Yeah, thank you all for being awesome and being part of the chat. It was great. And yeah, thank you lot.
And Harry, yay! Harry came in. That's so great. That was brilliant.
Right. Okay.
All right. So until next time, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Oh,
Cheers.
shaky cam. See you next time.
Bye.